Your life begins to change the moment you finally turn your attention inward. When you stop trying to meet everyone's expectations and start paying attention to what you feel, what you want, and what you know you need, everything around you slowly starts to shift. Most people spend so much time reacting to the world that they forget they have the power to direct their own energy. They push their needs aside, ignore their limits, and hope things will improve on their own. But real transformation begins when you make yourself a priority in a steady and honest way. This audiobook is a guide for anyone who feels tired of carrying stress that never ends, anyone who wants to break old habits that hold them back, and anyone who wants to feel more alive, balanced, and in control. You will learn how to understand your emotions, how to listen to your own judgment, how to protect your energy from unnecessary pressure, and how to build the kind of life that feels peaceful on the inside, not just impressive from the outside. Each chapter teaches you how to take practical steps that fit into your normal day, not drastic changes that leave you overwhelmed. As you listen, you will notice your thinking becoming clearer. You will feel more connected to yourself. You will begin to see how small decisions shape your identity, how daily choices influence your confidence, and how staying true to your growth slowly changes the direction of your future. This journey is not about perfection. It is about honesty, intention, and the willingness to take ownership of your life. If you have ever felt drained by your routines, unsettled by your thoughts, or unsure of your purpose, what you will hear in this audiobook will open new doors inside you. It will help you understand why you feel stuck and show you how to break out of that cycle. Most importantly, it will give you the tools to shift your energy so you can live with strength, clarity, and calmness. Stay with this audiobook until the end. Each chapter builds on the one before it. As you move through the ideas, you will feel yourself becoming more grounded, more confident, and more aware of what truly matters. You will not only learn how to focus on yourself, but also how to protect your progress, strengthen your sense of direction, and create a life that supports your well-being every day. This is the start of a new way of living, one that feels lighter, clearer, and more aligned with who you want to be. Chapter 1. Choose your growth by taking full control each day. Every day of your life presents a small but powerful moment. Before the noise begins and before the world makes its demands, you stand at the threshold of a choice that silently shapes everything that will happen next. That choice is whether you will take control of your day or hand that control to whatever shows up. Most people move through life on autopilot. They react to problems as they appear. They allow their emotions to run unchecked, and they wait for motivation to magically appear. They drift through time without direction, hoping that growth will somehow happen on its own. But growth is not something you stumble into by accident. It is something you create by intention. To choose your growth means you decide how you want to show up, how you want to think, how you want to spend your time, and how you want your life to progress. This is not a single moment of clarity, but a way of living that must be chosen again and again. Taking full control each day is not about controlling the world. The world will do what the world does. Events will unfold without your permission. People will speak and act as they wish. Circumstances will shift without warning. Control does not come from trying to shape everything around you. Control comes from shaping what is inside you. The moment you realize that your thoughts, choices, and responses are the only things that truly belong to you, your inner world becomes the source of your strength. This is where real growth begins, not in the external progress others can see, but in the internal discipline that only you will understand. It is easy to feel overwhelmed by the idea of taking control of your life. Sometimes a person looks at their current situation and thinks they are too far behind, too tired, or too discouraged to begin again. But the truth is that taking full control happens in tiny moments that build upon each other. You do not need to fix your entire life at once. You only need to take control of the next choice. Growth is created in the small decisions that shape your habits, your mindset, and your identity. Every day you choose whether you will act with discipline or act with impulse, whether you will rise or shrink, whether you will build momentum or stay stuck. These small choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they become the path that determines who you become. When you claim control over your day, you reclaim your power, but many people surrender this power without realizing it. They wake up and immediately distract themselves. They give their attention to noise. They rush into tasks without intention. They respond to messages before they set their own priorities. They allow minor frustrations to decide the tone of their morning. They let other people's urgency replace their own goals. They focus on what they cannot control instead of what they can. This is how a day can slip away without meaning. This is how a life drifts off course. You shift all of this the moment you choose to own the first few minutes of your day. The way you begin your day influences the way you move through everything else. When you give yourself a moment to breathe, to think, and to decide what matters, you set a foundation for strength. When you wake with intention, you quiet the chaos that usually takes over. You tell yourself that your mind belongs to you, your time belongs to you, and your choices belong to you. This single decision builds a sense of direction that carries you forward with purpose. Growth requires clarity. You must know what kind of life you want to build. You must understand who you want to become. Without clarity, you will chase distractions and waste energy. Clarity does not require a perfect long-term plan. It simply requires honesty about what matters to you. Do you want peace, discipline, confidence, stability, meaningful relationships, better health? These answers shape your daily actions. Without clarity, your energy scatters. With clarity, your energy strengthens. When you take full control each day, you give yourself the chance to become aligned with your deeper values. This means you act according to what is important, not according to what is easy. Growth requires effort. Growth requires consistency. Growth requires a willingness to face discomfort. But the reward is that your life begins to reflect your inner commitment. You build a sense of trust within yourself. You start believing that you can count on your own actions. This is one of the foundations of a strong life. A day controlled by intention looks different from a day controlled by reaction. When you act with intention, you do not let minor problems disturb your peace. You observe your emotions instead of letting them dictate your behavior. You complete tasks even when motivation is low. You take ownership of your time instead of letting it slip away. You choose how you respond instead of responding impulsively. You protect your energy instead of giving it away freely. These choices create a calm strength that people notice, not because you speak louder or move faster, but because you carry yourself with quiet direction. Taking full control each day begins with awareness. Before you change your habits, you must see how your automatic routines guide your actions. Notice the moments when you surrender control. Notice the times when you react instead of thinking. Notice what drains your energy. Notice what uplifts you. Notice how your environment shapes your mood. Awareness gives you the ability to interrupt old patterns. It shows you where you need discipline. It reveals what needs to change. Once you gain awareness, you can begin shaping your day with intention. This does not mean creating a rigid schedule that leaves no room for life's unpredictability. It means knowing which tasks matter, which thoughts strengthen you, and which actions move you forward. It means taking responsibility for your choices. It means refusing to let temporary emotions lead you away from long-term goals. Responsibility is not a burden. Responsibility is the source of your freedom. When you take responsibility for your day, you are no longer a passenger. You become the driver of your own growth. Many people hesitate to take full control because they fear failure. They worry that they will not follow through. They fear disappointment. But avoiding responsibility is not protection. It only delays progress. When you take control, you accept that you will make mistakes, you will face setbacks, and you will have difficult moments. But you also gain the ability to correct your path, to learn from your choices, and to rebuild with strength. Control does not require perfection. Control requires commitment. Each day gives you a chance to build discipline. Discipline is the foundation of growth. It is the ability to follow through even when you do not feel like it. It is the commitment to your goals when motivation fades. Discipline is not harsh. Discipline is supportive. It gives structure to your life. It keeps you steady when your emotions shift. It helps you remain grounded when distractions appear. Discipline grows when you choose action over avoidance, focus over distraction, and purpose over comfort. Self-control also means choosing where your attention goes. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources. When you scatter it across activities that do not support your growth, you weaken your progress. When you direct it toward meaningful actions, you strengthen your progress. Pay attention to what you allow into your mind. Pay attention to the information you consume. Pay attention to the conversations you engage in. Pay attention to the thoughts you entertain. Attention shapes your perspective, and perspective shapes your behavior. To take full control each day, you must also manage your emotions. Emotions are natural, but they can take over if you do not guide them. The goal is not to suppress emotions, but to understand them. When frustration appears, pause and breathe. When fear shows up, identify the source. When doubt rises, examine the thought behind it. Emotional awareness helps you stay balanced. It allows you to respond with clarity. It prevents impulsive decisions. When you control your emotional reactions, you create space for wise decisions. Growth also requires intention in how you speak to yourself. Your inner dialogue influences your confidence, your choices, and your resilience. If the voice in your mind constantly criticizes you, you will hesitate to take action. If it doubts you, you will stay small. When your self-talk supports your goals, your courage strengthens. Tell yourself the truth, that you are responsible for your life, that you can change, that you can improve, that you can create something better. When your inner dialogue becomes supportive and disciplined, your actions will follow. Taking full control each day also means setting priorities. Not every task is worth your attention. Not every problem deserves your energy. Not every situation requires your involvement. When you decide what is important, you avoid wasting time. You direct your energy toward growth. You align your day with your values. Priorities keep you focused. They prevent you from being pulled in different directions. They help you stay on track even when life becomes demanding. Another part of taking control is learning to let go of what you cannot influence. You cannot control other people's opinions. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control past events. And you cannot control how every situation unfolds. But you can control your mindset, your behavior, your reactions, your discipline, and your effort. When you stop chasing control over external things, you gain control over internal strength. This shift frees your mind. It removes unnecessary stress. It opens space for clarity and growth. To choose your growth, you must also practice patience. Growth is not immediate. It does not always show visible results right away. Sometimes progress is slow. Sometimes progress feels invisible. But daily actions accumulate. Each choice plants a seed. Each task completed builds momentum. Each disciplined moment strengthens your identity. When you stay patient, you avoid frustration. You stay focused. You trust the process. Patience allows growth to unfold naturally without forcing it or rushing it. Taking full control each day requires being honest with yourself. Honesty is one of the strongest tools for growth. When you admit your weaknesses, you can work on them. When you acknowledge your habits, you can change them. When you face your mistakes, you can improve. Honesty removes illusions. It clears your perspective. It guides your decisions. When you live with honesty, you build a life based on truth, not fear or avoidance. Growth also requires removing distractions. Modern life is full of noise. Social media, entertainment, unnecessary conversations, and constant stimulation can pull you away from your purpose. You must identify which activities support your development and which ones steal your time. You must create distance from habits that waste your energy. This does not mean removing all leisure. It means choosing leisure that nourishes you rather than drains you. When you control your environment, you control your growth. Another part of taking control is choosing responsibility over excuses. Excuses weaken your progress. They make you wait for perfect conditions. They keep you stagnant. Responsibility empowers you. It reminds you that you can take action despite challenges. You do not need ideal conditions to begin. You need intention and consistency. When you stop making excuses, you move forward. When you choose responsibility, you create change. To choose your growth, you must also invest in self-care. Self-care is not indulgence. Self-care is maintenance for the mind, body, and spirit. Rest is necessary. Nutrition is necessary. Movement is necessary. Quiet time is necessary. These actions replenish your strength. They allow you to think clearly. They prepare you to face challenges. When you take care of yourself, you support your growth. Every day you choose whether you will rise or remain the same. Growth is not a one-time event. Growth is a lifestyle. It is a discipline you wake up with and carry through your day. It is the decision to act with purpose. It is the commitment to yourself. When you choose growth today, you shape tomorrow. When you choose growth repeatedly, you change your life. Taking full control each day means living with intention, awareness, and responsibility. It means shaping your thoughts, guiding your emotions, managing your choices, and directing your actions. It means building discipline, setting priorities, practicing honesty, and staying patient. It means creating a life that reflects your values instead of your fears. You will not be perfect. You will not control everything, but you can control yourself. And when you control yourself, you hold the key to your growth. You hold the power to transform your life. Every day you have one choice that matters more than anything else. Will you act with intention, or will you drift? Will you grow, or will you repeat the past? Will you rise, or will you hold back? The day is yours. The decision is yours. The responsibility is yours. And the rewards belong to you. Your life begins to change the moment you decide that you will no longer move through your days unconsciously. You can choose to direct your thoughts, your actions, your focus, and your energy. This is not an overwhelming demand. It is a daily commitment, a steady path, a quiet discipline, a deliberate choice. When you choose growth each day, you take full control of your life. And when you take control of your life, you create a future filled with strength, clarity, and purpose. Chapter 2. Build inner strength by trusting your own decisions. Trusting your own decisions is one of the most defining steps in building inner strength, because it forces you to stand firmly in your own judgment instead of leaning on the opinions, validation, or approval of others. Many people live their entire lives following the expectations placed on them instead of the direction that comes from within. They fear making the wrong choice, disappointing someone, or taking responsibility for an outcome that may not be perfect. This fear slowly weakens their confidence and makes them doubt their ability to guide their own life. Inner strength begins to grow the moment you stop letting external voices overpower your own. It grows when you allow your decisions to come from clarity, values, and intention rather than pressure or fear. When you decide to trust yourself, You stop waiting for the world to give you permission to move forward. Trusting your decisions does not mean you assume you are always right. It means you accept that you are capable of learning from every choice you make. It means understanding that mistakes are not proof of failure, but lessons that sharpen your judgment. When you learn through experience, your insight expands. When you take responsibility for your choices, your resilience deepens. When you follow your own direction, you build a sense of inner stability that no one can shake. People who constantly seek approval weaken themselves because they depend on something they cannot control. People who trust their own decisions build strength because they stand on a foundation that comes from within. The ability to trust yourself grows when you learn to listen to your inner voice. This voice is not loud, dramatic, or emotional. It is steady, calm, and honest. It reminds you of what matters and what does not. It guides you toward what feels aligned with your values and away from what disturbs your peace. Many people ignore this voice because they fear the discomfort of choosing differently than others. They worry about being judged or misunderstood. But ignoring your inner voice is the quickest way to lose confidence. Every time you choose against your own judgment, you send yourself a quiet message that you cannot be trusted. When this happens repeatedly, doubt becomes a habit. Confidence fades. Strength is replaced with uncertainty. The way to break this pattern is simple. Begin listening to your own direction again and act on it, even in small ways. Trust grows through action. The more decisions you make for yourself, the more proof you build that you can handle the outcome. You learn that you can face challenges, adapt to difficulties, and correct your path when necessary. You learn that you do not fall apart when things get hard. You learn that you are capable of moving through discomfort without losing yourself. This lived experience becomes the foundation of inner strength. You no longer fear choices because you know you can carry the responsibility that comes with them. You no longer fear mistakes because you know you can grow from them. You no longer fear disapproval because you understand that your life cannot be shaped by people who do not walk in your shoes. A strong life is built on the ability to make decisions with intention. When you choose for yourself, you create a direction that reflects who you are. You become clear about what you want and what you do not want. People who do not trust their own decisions often stay stuck in confusion because they wait for certainty to appear before acting. But certainty rarely comes first. Action brings clarity. Clarity strengthens confidence. Confidence builds inner stability. Each decision becomes a step toward a stronger version of yourself. You cannot grow if you refuse to decide. You cannot build confidence if you do not take action. You cannot develop strength if you consistently hand over your power. Another part of trusting your decisions is learning to separate your mind from the noise of opinions. People will always have something to say. Some will support you, some will disagree, and some will not understand your motivations at all. This is normal. Seeking guidance can be helpful, but allowing others to decide your path robs you of your independence. When you make a decision based solely on what someone else thinks, you lose the chance to grow from your own reasoning. You also end up living a life that feels disconnected from your inner values. Strength comes from being able to hear opinions without letting them overpower your direction. You can listen, learn, and consider, but the final choice must come from your insight. This is how you build a life that feels authentic. Trusting your decisions also requires that you stop measuring yourself based on other people's standards. Everyone has a different background, different strengths, different limitations, and different goals. What works for one person may not work for you. What makes sense in one life may not fit another. When you compare your choices to the choices of others, you lose sight of your own needs. You begin to doubt yourself based on someone else's path. This weakens confidence and creates confusion. Instead of trying to match someone else's direction, build one that fits your values, your goals, and your capacity. Your life should be guided by your own understanding, all of what is right for you. To strengthen trust in yourself, you must be willing to reflect on your choices with honesty rather than judgment. When something goes well, acknowledge your success. When something goes wrong, study the experience without harsh criticism. Ask yourself what you learned and how you can adjust. This kind of reflection builds wisdom. It shows you how your reasoning evolves. It helps you make better decisions in the future. Judgment destroys confidence because it makes you fear mistakes. Honest reflection builds confidence because it teaches you to learn from them. Strength is not built by avoiding errors. Strength is built by becoming wiser through them. When you trust yourself, you remove the need to rush decisions. You allow yourself to think calmly. You give yourself time to evaluate your feelings and your logic. You notice whether a decision brings tension or clarity. You observe whether you feel pulled forward or held back. Rushing often leads to choices driven by fear or pressure. Calm thinking leads to decisions grounded in awareness. When your mind is calm, your insight becomes clearer. And when your insight is clear, your decisions become stronger. Another way to build trust in your decisions is to simplify your choices. Many people overwhelm themselves by trying to consider every outcome at once. This creates stress and uncertainty. Instead, focus on what you can decide today. Ask yourself what action aligns with your values right now. You do not need to predict the entire future. You need to make the next honest choice. When you break decisions into simple steps, you reduce fear and increase confidence. You realize that you do not need all the answers at once. You only need enough clarity to take the next step. You also strengthen inner trust when you take responsibility for your decisions without blaming circumstances or others. Ownership gives you power. When you blame, you weaken yourself because you deny your ability to influence the direction of your life. Responsibility reminds you that your choices matter. It encourages you to think deeply before acting. It inspires you to learn from every outcome. This approach creates maturity, stability, and self-respect. Responsibility is one of the strongest foundations of inner strength. Building trust in yourself also requires a commitment to personal values. When you base your decisions on what aligns with your character, you never feel lost. You know why you chose something. You understand the intention behind your actions. Values act as a compass. They help you stay grounded. They guide you when situations become confusing. When your decisions come from your values, you feel stable even if others disagree. Strength comes from standing by what you believe in, especially when it requires courage. Trusting your decisions becomes easier when you silence the fear of disappointing others. You cannot live a strong life while trying to satisfy everyone. People will always have expectations, but you are the one who must live with the consequences of your choices. Inner strength grows when you stop prioritizing approval over authenticity. When you respect your decisions, you teach others to respect them too. When you honor your own direction, you become less influenced by pressure. This is not selfishness. This is self-leadership. Another important aspect of trusting your decisions is recognizing your progress. Every time you choose for yourself, even in small ways, your confidence grows. When you speak up for what you believe in, you prove to yourself that your voice matters. When you follow your intuition, you strengthen your inner guidance. When you take action despite uncertainty, you show yourself that you can handle challenges. These moments accumulate. They create a deep sense of trust that cannot be taken away by doubt or judgment. Inner strength also deepens when you stop seeking perfect outcomes. Perfection creates hesitation. It makes you delay decisions. It keeps you stuck in overthinking. Real progress does not require perfection. It requires direction. You only need to move forward with intention and adjust as you learn. When you release the pressure to be flawless, you act with more confidence. You allow yourself to grow naturally. You become more patient with yourself. This patience builds resilience because it removes the fear of making the wrong choice. To trust your decisions, you must know that uncertainty is a natural part of life. No one has absolute clarity all the time. No one makes the right decision every time. But the more willing you are to decide and learn, the more wisdom you develop. Inner strength is not created by avoiding uncertainty. It is created by moving through uncertainty with courage. You may not always know where a choice will lead, but you will always gain insight by choosing for yourself. This insight becomes knowledge. This knowledge becomes strength. A life guided by self-trust feels grounded. You no longer feel pulled in every direction. You no longer wait for others to determine your worth or your path. You make choices based on who you want to become. This gives you a sense of stability that does not depend on circumstances. You begin to respect yourself more deeply because you honor your truth. And when you respect yourself, you develop a calm confidence that supports you in every area of life. Inner strength grows with time, repetition, and intention. Each decision you make independently strengthens your identity. Each moment you trust your judgment builds resilience. Each step you take for yourself increases your confidence. You become someone who stands firmly in your own direction, someone who chooses based on clarity, someone who is not easily shaken by opinions, someone who knows how to lead their own life. This level of strength cannot be given to you. It must be developed from within. You build inner strength by trusting your decisions one choice at a time. You build it by listening to your inner voice. You build it by taking responsibility. You build it by acting with intention. You build it by staying committed to your values. You build it by moving through uncertainty with courage. Each day gives you another chance to strengthen this ability. When you trust your own decisions, you build a life that reflects your truth, your character, and your purpose. This is the kind of strength that transforms the way you move through the world, not with fear or doubt, but with confidence, clarity, and steady direction. Chapter 3. Protect your energy by removing draining daily habits. Protecting your energy begins with understanding that what drains you slowly becomes what shapes you. Many people lose strength not because life is overwhelming, but because their daily habits quietly take away their clarity, peace, and motivation. These habits seem small, but they steal focus, weaken discipline, and pull attention toward things that do not support growth. When you recognize how these patterns affect your life, you gain the power to change them. Removing draining habits is not about forcing yourself into a rigid routine. It is about taking back ownership of your time, attention, and emotional space, so you can move through each day with a clearer mind and stronger spirit. Your energy must be protected because everything you do begins with the state of your inner world. One of the first habits that drains energy is the tendency to begin the day without intention. Waking up and immediately diving into distractions, negative thoughts, or rushed tasks sets a chaotic tone. It causes your mind to scatter before you have grounded yourself. This kind of start makes the rest of the day feel heavy because you begin from a place of reaction instead of clarity. Protecting your energy starts with a calm beginning. When you give yourself a few quiet moments before facing the outside world, you preserve your emotional balance and strengthen your ability to handle challenges. You do not need a complicated routine. You only need a steady start that signals to your mind that you are in control. Another habit that drains energy is constant mental clutter. Many people carry unnecessary thoughts throughout the day that cloud their judgment and weaken their focus. Worries that cannot be solved immediately, assumptions about what others might think, replayed conversations, and imaginary scenarios all consume mental space. These thoughts offer nothing in return, yet they drain you as if they were real tasks. Protecting your energy requires learning to notice when your mind is filled with noise. When you catch yourself overthinking, bring your attention back to what you can act on. Mental clarity is not about eliminating all thoughts, but guiding your attention toward what matters now. Your environment also creates habits that affect your energy. Cluttered spaces, disorganized surroundings, and constant exposure to noise can gradually weaken your ability to remain grounded. Your mind reflects what it repeatedly sees. When your environment is chaotic, your focus becomes scattered. Many people underestimate the impact of their surroundings, but small adjustments can create major emotional shifts. A cleaner space allows your mind to breathe. A quieter environment helps you remain calm. A more intentional atmosphere directs your energy toward productivity and peace. Protecting your energy often begins with shaping the world around you, so it supports your growth instead of draining it. Social habits can drain energy as well. Spending time with people who constantly complain, gossip, or spread negativity creates emotional fatigue because you absorb the energy you are exposed to. Even if you try to stay detached, repeated exposure weakens your spirit. Removing draining habits includes limiting your involvement in conversations that do not uplift you, avoiding interactions that leave you feeling empty, and creating distance from people who consistently bring conflict or stress. Protecting your energy is not about pushing people away. It is about choosing relationships that align with your values and preserve your well-being. Another draining habit is saying yes to responsibilities or requests that do not align with your capacity. Many people stretch themselves thin because they fear disappointing others. They take on tasks they do not want, agree to commitments they cannot maintain, and accept obligations that drain their time. Over time, this creates frustration, resentment, and exhaustion. Protecting your energy means valuing your time enough to choose commitments that support your priorities. When you set limits, you create room for growth, rest, and focus. You also build respect for yourself because you honor your own boundaries instead of sacrificing your well-being to satisfy expectations. Digital habits are one of the biggest contributors to energy loss. Excessive scrolling, constant notifications, and mindless consumption of content overstimulate the mind. They reduce focus, increase anxiety, and make it difficult to stay present. Each small interaction takes attention away from what truly matters. Over time, these digital habits create a sense of restlessness that makes it harder to think clearly or stay productive. Protecting your energy requires becoming intentional about how you use technology. When you control your digital environment, instead of letting it control you, your mind becomes calmer and your actions become more deliberate. Procrastination is another habit that drains energy because it keeps tasks lingering in your mind. When responsibilities remain unfinished, they create mental pressure that grows heavier each day. Even if the task is small, avoiding it uses more energy than completing it. Procrastination is not just a lack of action, it is an ongoing mental load. Protecting your energy means handling tasks as soon as possible, so they do not occupy space in your mind. You gain clarity when you complete what needs to be done, instead of carrying it with you throughout the day. Unhealthy self-talk can quietly drain your strength as well. When you speak to yourself in a harsh, critical, or discouraging way, you weaken your confidence. Many people do not realize how often they undermine themselves through thoughts like, "I cannot do this," "I always fail," or "I am not good enough." These statements drain energy because they create emotional weight that affects your actions. Protecting your energy means developing a more supportive inner voice. It does not require unrealistic positivity. It requires honesty, encouragement, and respect toward yourself. When your self-talk strengthens you instead of tearing you down, your energy becomes stable and grounded. A draining habit that often goes unnoticed is ignoring physical needs, skipping rest, neglecting nutrition, avoiding movement, or pushing your body beyond its limits creates weakness over time. Your energy depends on the condition of your physical health. When your body is exhausted, your mind follows. When your habits neglect your physical well-being, your emotional strength diminishes. Protecting your energy involves consistent care for your body. Rest, nourishment, hydration, and movement are simple actions that restore energy and support mental clarity. Another energy-draining habit is living in the past or worrying about the future. When your attention is focused on regret or fear, you cannot fully engage with the present. This creates heaviness because the mind constantly wrestles with things it cannot change. Protecting your energy requires learning to stay grounded in the moment you can influence. The more you anchor your mind in the present, the less power the past and future have over you. This strengthens your emotional balance and reduces unnecessary stress. Removing draining habits also involves recognizing when you are doing too much at once. Multitasking scatters attention and reduces productivity. It creates the illusion of progress while silently exhausting your mind. Focusing on one task at a time preserves mental energy and improves results. When you give your full attention to a single action, your mind remains steady and your energy remains stable. This allows you to complete more with less stress. Another draining habit is suppressing emotions. When you avoid acknowledging your feelings, they remain stored inside, gradually weakening your emotional strength. This creates internal tension that drains energy throughout the day. Protecting your energy means allowing yourself to feel without pushing emotions away. When you acknowledge what you are experiencing, you release the pressure that creates exhaustion. Emotional awareness restores inner balance and allows you to move forward with clarity. To protect your energy, you must remove the habit of neglecting your personal needs. Many people dedicate all their time to others while ignoring themselves. They become tired, overwhelmed, and frustrated because they fail to give themselves the care they give to everyone else. Protecting your energy requires giving yourself time to rest, reflect, and recharge. When you honor your needs, you preserve your ability to handle the demands of your life without burning out. The strongest way to protect your energy is through consistency. Removing draining habits is not a single decision, it is a daily commitment. You choose what you allow into your life. You choose how you respond to challenges. You choose which behaviors support your well-being. Every time you remove a draining habit, you reclaim a part of your strength. Every time you preserve your peace, you reinforce your inner stability. Over time, these choices create a life that feels lighter, clearer, and more aligned with who you want to be. By identifying and removing draining habits, you free yourself from unnecessary burdens. You gain clarity, focus, and emotional balance. You strengthen your ability to handle challenges without feeling overwhelmed. You create space for growth, peace, and meaningful progress. Protecting your energy is one of the most powerful decisions you can make because every part of your life improves when your inner world is stable and strong. Chapter 4. Lift your mindset by practicing honest self-reflection. Honest self-reflection is one of the most powerful ways to lift your mindset because it forces you to see yourself clearly without excuses, denial, or avoidance. Many people move through life repeating the same patterns, facing the same frustrations, and struggling with the same obstacles because they never take the time to understand the deeper reasons behind their behavior. Without reflection, a person lives on the surface of their life. They react instead of learning. They repeat instead of growing. They continue habits that work against them because they never examine where those habits came from or why they persist. Honest reflection is the tool that breaks this cycle. When you take the time to look inward, you create space for understanding, change, and growth. Your mindset begins to rise because you become aware of the thoughts, choices, and beliefs that have shaped your life so far. Self-reflection requires truth, not the softened version that hides discomfort, and not the exaggerated version that blames you for everything. Honest reflection is balanced. It shows you what you do well and what needs improvement. It helps you recognize which actions align with your values and which actions create conflict. When you face your truth without trying to protect your ego, you gain clarity that strengthens your mindset. You no longer walk through life with blind spots. You begin to understand your motivations, your reactions, your fears, and your strengths. This clarity gives you the power to make decisions that support your growth, rather than decisions that come from habit or emotion. Many people avoid self-reflection because it feels uncomfortable to confront mistakes, regrets, or weaknesses. But discomfort is not the enemy. Avoidance is. When you avoid looking at yourself honestly, you stay stuck in patterns that limit you. When you face yourself openly, you gain the ability to rise above those patterns. Honest reflection is not about judging yourself harshly. It is about seeing yourself accurately. It is about understanding where your mindset needs to grow. It is about recognizing what you have been ignoring. This level of honesty feels difficult at first, but it becomes freeing once you realize how much strength it brings. Lifting your mindset through reflection begins with paying attention to your thoughts. Every choice you make begins as a thought. Many of these thoughts are automatic, shaped by past experiences, old fears, or repeated habits. If you never examine them, they will continue to influence your behavior without your awareness. When you stop and observe your thoughts, you begin to recognize patterns. You notice which thoughts support your goals and which ones limit you. You see where you create unnecessary pressure or fear. You identify the beliefs that keep you small or hesitant. Once you see these patterns, you gain the ability to change them. Reflection gives you the power to guide your thoughts instead of letting them control you. Another part of honest self-reflection is evaluating your actions. Every action you take reveals something about what you value, what you fear, or what you believe about yourself. When you reflect on your actions, you begin to see whether they align with the life you want to build. You may notice that you avoid challenges because you doubt your ability. You may notice that you rush decisions because you fear losing control. You may notice that you stay quiet in situations where you should speak up. These observations are not failures. They are insights. They show you where you can grow. Honest reflection transforms your behavior because it allows you to act intentionally instead of blindly repeating old patterns. Your emotional responses also reveal important truths about your mindset. Strong reactions often come from unresolved experiences or unmet needs. When you reflect on why certain situations trigger you, you gain understanding that helps you respond with greater calm and clarity. You begin to see whether your reactions come from the present moment or from something deeper. This awareness helps you break emotional habits that no longer serve you. Lifting your mindset does not mean suppressing emotions. It means understanding them well enough to guide them instead of being controlled by them. Honest reflection also requires examining your choices. Your choices shape your life more than circumstances do. When you reflect on why you choose certain paths, you discover the beliefs behind those decisions. You may realize that you choose comfort over progress. You may see that you choose approval over authenticity. You may recognize that you choose avoidance over responsibility. These insights are powerful because they give you a clear place to begin changing your mindset. Change becomes possible when you understand your reasoning. Without reflection, you simply repeat choices without understanding why. One of the hardest parts of self-reflection is acknowledging where you have been holding yourself back. It can be difficult to admit when fear has limited your actions or when doubt has silenced your confidence. But facing these truths is the first step toward freedom. When you acknowledge the ways you have restricted your own growth, you gain the ability to open new possibilities. Self-reflection turns mistakes into lessons. It turns fear into awareness. It turns hesitation into clarity. These shifts lift your mindset from limitation to possibility. Practicing honest reflection also involves recognizing your strengths. Many people focus only on their flaws and overlook the qualities that make them capable and resilient. Balanced reflection requires acknowledging your progress, your skills, and the times you acted with courage. These recognitions build confidence and remind you that growth is already happening. When you see your strengths clearly, you trust your ability to improve your weaknesses. A lifted mindset is not built on criticism alone. It is built on truth, and truth includes everything you have done well. Self-reflection lifts your mindset by encouraging accountability. When you take ownership of your choices and emotions, you stop blaming luck, others, or circumstances for your outcomes. Accountability gives you power. It puts your growth in your own hands. When you accept responsibility for your actions, you gain the authority to change them. This shift creates mental strength because it removes the helplessness that comes from blame or avoidance. A person who practices accountability becomes someone who shapes their life intentionally. Reflection also opens the door to personal improvement because it shows you what needs to be changed without making you feel defeated. You begin to see growth as a continuous path rather than a destination you must reach immediately. This mindset reduces pressure and increases resilience. You learn to approach your life with patience and steady effort. You begin to recognize that progress does not require perfection. It requires awareness and adjustment. Every time you reflect honestly, you give yourself another chance to rise. Your mindset lifts even further when reflection becomes a daily habit. When you regularly ask yourself what went well, what needs improvement, and how you can shape tomorrow differently, you give yourself a chance to evolve every day. You begin to notice patterns sooner. You correct mistakes faster. You strengthen your intuition. You sharpen your thinking. This ongoing self-awareness becomes the foundation of personal growth. With time, reflection becomes natural, and your mindset remains clear, steady, and grounded. Honest reflection also improves relationships because it helps you understand your role in conflicts and misunderstandings. When you reflect on how you communicate and how you respond to others, you learn to approach situations with more calmness and empathy. This lifts your mindset by reducing emotional tension and helping you interact with others more effectively. Personal growth is not only about improving your inner world, it is also about improving the way you move through the world. The most important part of self-reflection is that it reconnects you with your true self. It strips away the layers of distraction, expectation, and habit. It shows you who you are beneath everything you have been taught to be. When you see yourself clearly, you can grow with purpose. You can choose with intention. You can act with strength. A lifted mindset begins with a clear understanding of who you are and where you want to go. Honest self-reflection is not a one-time exercise. It is a lifelong practice that continues to refine your thinking, strengthen your clarity, and build your inner stability. The more you reflect with honesty, the more your mindset rises above confusion, fear, and doubt. You begin to move through life with deeper awareness and stronger direction. You no longer act on impulse. You act with understanding. You no longer repeat the same patterns. You create new ones. You no longer feel lost within yourself. You become aligned with your deeper values and intentions. Lifting your mindset through self-reflection is one of the most transformative steps you can take because it teaches you to understand yourself, guide yourself, and improve yourself. It gives you the ability to see your truth and shape your future with clarity and strength. When you practice honest reflection, you gain power to rise beyond your old limitations and step into a more grounded, aware, and resilient version of yourself. Chapter 5. Calm your thoughts by creating simple daily routines. Calming your thoughts begins with creating simple daily routines that bring structure, stability, and clarity into your life. Many people struggle with a restless mind, not because their problems are overwhelming, but because their days lack rhythm. When your time has no clear flow, your thoughts scatter. You jump from one concern to another, you respond to everything at once, and you move through the day without a grounding point. This creates mental tension that follows you everywhere. A simple routine does not solve every challenge in your life, but it gives your mind something steady to lean on. It creates a sense of order that quiets internal noise and helps you approach each day with a calm, balanced mindset. A routine does not need to be complicated or strict, it only needs to be intentional. When your actions follow a quiet pattern, your thoughts settle because your mind feels secure. One of the most effective ways to calm your thoughts is to start your day with a small practice that signals direction. Rushing into the morning without any structure forces your mind into chaos before you even have a chance to ground yourself. But when you begin with a simple action that feels steady, such as sitting in silence, breathing slowly, stretching your body, or taking a short moment to organize your intentions, you set a calmer tone. This helps you approach the day with clarity rather than stress. Daily routines also give your mind fewer decisions to make. Decision fatigue is a real source of mental clutter. When you spend your day deciding what to do next, your mind becomes overwhelmed. This leads to overthinking, distraction, and emotional pressure. But when your day has a simple rhythm, your mind relaxes because it does not have to constantly guess what comes next. You know what all you will do in the morning, how you will move through the afternoon, and how you will close the evening. This predictability creates comfort. It frees your mind to focus on meaningful tasks instead of constantly trying to organize itself. Another part of calming your thoughts through routines is managing how you start tasks. When you move without intention, your mind becomes restless because it does not know which priority matters most. Simple routines help you stay focused on one action at a time. When you choose a clear starting point every day, whether it is cleaning a space, completing a small task, or reviewing your goals, you give your mind a direction that prevents mental chaos. Each completed step reduces noise in your mind. Every small success builds momentum and lowers stress. Routines also protect your mental space from unnecessary distractions. When your day has structure, you become more aware of what fits into your flow and what disrupts it. You start recognizing which habits interrupt your calm. You learn to identify behaviors that add stress instead of clarity. With time, you naturally let go of actions that do not support your peace. This creates more space for calm thinking, deeper focus, and emotional balance. Simplicity strengthens your mindset because it removes the weight of unnecessary complexity. Calming your thoughts also involves including breaks in your routine. Many people push themselves through the day without pausing, believing that constant productivity is the answer. In reality, a mind without rest becomes overwhelmed. It begins to make mistakes, react emotionally, and lose clarity. A simple break, even for a few minutes, gives your mind a chance to reset. These pauses help you slow down, breathe, and regain control. When breaks become a natural part of your routine, your thoughts stay steady because your mind never reaches the point of exhaustion. Short moments of rest throughout the day are powerful tools for sustaining the calm. Evening routines are just as important because they help you release the weight of the day. When you end your day without any form of closure, your mind carries unfinished thoughts into the night. This is one of the main reasons many people struggle to relax or fall asleep. A simple evening routine helps you transition from activity to rest. Reflecting on your day, tidying your environment, dimming distractions, or doing something that brings comfort allows your mind to settle. This quiet structure tells your mind it can let go. Over time, you fall asleep more peacefully because your thoughts have a place to rest. Creating simple daily routines also helps you build discipline without force. When your actions follow a steady pattern, your mind adapts. You no longer need to push yourself to complete basic tasks. They become natural, almost automatic. This frees your mental energy for more important decisions. It also strengthens your self-control because consistent routines show your mind that you are capable of directing your own life. When you trust your ability to follow through, your thoughts calm because uncertainty fades. You feel more grounded, more capable, and more secure. Another powerful benefit of routines is that they reduce emotional turbulence. A scattered day often leads to reactive emotions. You feel irritated, overwhelmed, or drained because your mind has no stable foundation. Routines give your emotions structure. When your day flows smoothly, your emotions remain steady. You are less likely to react impulsively because you are not constantly trying to catch up with your own thoughts. You move through the day with a sense of order that keeps your emotions controlled, which deepens your inner calm. Simple routines also improve focus. When your mind is calm, you can concentrate more easily. You become more productive, more precise, and more confident in your decisions. Tasks feel lighter because they are no longer buried under a pile of scattered thoughts. With a calm mindset, even difficult responsibilities feel manageable. You approach them with patience instead of anxiety. You handle challenges with clarity instead of panic. A calm mind strengthens your ability to think and act wisely. Your routines also become a form of self-respect. When you create simple habits that support your peace, you send yourself a message that your well-being matters. Many people neglect routines because they believe they do not have time. But when your thoughts are constantly restless, time is lost anyway. A routine saves time by reducing overthinking, hesitation, and confusion. It adds stability to your life. It shows you that structure is not a burden but a form of care. When you treat your mind with care, your thoughts become lighter, clearer, and more peaceful. Routines do not need to be perfect. They only need to be consistent. What matters most is finding actions that help you stay grounded, small behaviors that give your mind a sense of order. Whether it is waking up at the same time, preparing your environment, moving your body, practicing quiet moments, or setting simple priorities, these patterns shape your mental landscape. The more consistent you are, the calmer your thoughts become. Routine is the foundation that supports your inner world. It is where clarity grows and where chaos loses power. Calming your thoughts through simple routines is a steady process. Each day you choose small actions that strengthen your peace. Each day you create a structure that supports your mind. With time, your thoughts become less scattered, your emotions become more balanced, and your life feels more aligned. When your routines protect your mental space, you move through the world with calmness and confidence. Your mind becomes a place of clarity instead of confusion, and your thoughts become allies instead of burdens. Chapter 6. Raise your confidence by showing up for yourself daily. Confidence grows when you decide to show up for yourself every single day, not only on the days when you feel strong or motivated, but also on the days when you feel tired, uncertain, or discouraged. Many people wait for confidence to appear before taking action, but confidence is built through action. It develops when you prove to yourself that you are willing to do what needs to be done, even when your emotions are not fully supportive. When you keep the promises you make to yourself, you build inner trust. When you honor your own effort, you strengthen your belief in your ability to handle challenges. This daily commitment becomes the foundation of real confidence because it teaches you that you can rely on yourself. Showing up for yourself begins with small acts of consistency. These actions do not need to be grand or dramatic. They simply need to be intentional. When you complete even a small task that supports in your growth, you build momentum. You feel a sense of accomplishment because you took responsibility for your life. This feeling shapes your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who does not give up easily, someone who takes action even when it is uncomfortable. Every time you act in alignment with your goals, Your confidence increases because you gain evidence that you are capable of improving your life through discipline and effort. One of the most powerful ways to show up for yourself is to stop postponing what matters. When you constantly delay your own needs, your mind begins to doubt your commitment. You may tell yourself you will start tomorrow, next week, or when conditions are perfect, but each delay sends a message that you are not ready or not serious. This weakens confidence because it shows inconsistency between what you say and what you do. Confidence requires alignment. When your actions support your intentions, you build a stable inner foundation. When you stop delaying and start doing, you begin to trust your ability to take control of your life. Showing up for yourself daily also requires being honest about your goals. Many people weaken their confidence by setting unrealistic expectations and then feeling discouraged when they fall short. Confidence does not grow from perfection, it grows from steady progress. When you set clear, achievable intentions, you create a path you can commit to. Each completed step builds strength. Each act of discipline reinforces your belief in yourself. Confidence grows in small increments, built through daily actions that reflect your commitment to becoming a better version of yourself. A major part of raising confidence is learning to honor your boundaries. When you constantly put the needs, opinions, or requests of others above your own well-being, you weaken your self-respect. Showing up for yourself means acknowledging your limits and protecting your time. It means saying no when something drains you or pulls you away from what matters. Boundaries are not walls. They are commitments to your own growth. When you uphold your boundaries, you demonstrate that your peace, energy, and goals are important. This strengthens your sense of worth and raises your confidence because you no longer abandon yourself for approval or convenience. Confidence also comes from taking responsibility for your actions. When you stop blaming circumstances, people, or luck for your outcomes, you reclaim your power. Taking responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything. It means acknowledging that your choices influence your direction. When you accept this truth, you gain control. You stop waiting for others to save you, fix you, or motivate you. You understand that you are the one who must take the steps. This perspective strengthens confidence because it teaches you that you have the ability to shape your life through your decisions. Another important part of showing up for yourself is embracing discomfort. Confidence does not grow in comfort. It grows when you face challenges that push you beyond your usual limits. Every time you engage with something difficult, whether it is speaking up, taking on a new responsibility, or confronting a fear, you expand your sense of capability. You prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. You grow stronger by doing what once seemed intimidating. With each experience, your confidence rises because you no longer question your ability to navigate challenges. Showing up for yourself daily also involves observing your self-talk. The way you speak to yourself shapes your inner identity. If your inner voice constantly criticizes you, your confidence weakens. But when you speak to yourself with respect and encouragement, your mindset becomes stronger. This does not mean ignoring areas of improvement, but acknowledging your effort, progress, and potential. Supportive self-talk helps, and you stay grounded and resilient. It reinforces the belief that you are capable, strong, and worthy of growth. Confidence is nurtured in the way you speak to yourself in quiet moments. Your confidence also grows when you keep track of your progress. Many people overlook their wins because they focus only on what is left to accomplish. But acknowledging your growth is essential. When you reflect on how far you have come, even in small ways, you strengthen your belief in your ability to continue improving. You begin to see proof of your dedication. You realize that consistent effort always leads to change. This recognition inspires you to keep showing up for yourself. It builds a sense of pride and reinforces the mindset that progress is always possible. Another powerful aspect of raising confidence is staying committed even when motivation fades. Motivation is temporary, it comes and goes, but commitment is steady. When you rely on motivation, you remain inconsistent. When you rely on commitment, you remain disciplined. Showing up for yourself daily means you act based on intention rather than emotion. You keep moving toward your goals even on days when you feel uninspired. This is where confidence is truly built. You prove to yourself that you can follow through regardless of how you feel. This strengthens your inner resilience and deepens your belief in your ability to handle responsibility. Raising your confidence also involves recognizing your worth without comparing yourself to others. Comparison drains your power because it distracts you from your own path. Everyone grows at their own pace. Everyone faces different challenges. When you compare, you ignore your own progress and adopt someone else's timeline. Showing up for yourself means valuing your journey. It means understanding that your growth is meaningful, even if it does not match someone else's achievements. Confidence rises when you measure your progress only against your past self, not against others. Another way to show up for yourself is by prioritizing habits that strengthen your well-being. When you nourish your body, protect your peace, and give yourself time to rest, you show your mind that you value your health. A strong mind requires a supported body. Good sleep, mindful moments, movement, and nutritious choices all play a role in raising your confidence because they help you feel grounded, stable, and capable. When your body is supported, your mind becomes sharper and your self-belief grows. To raise confidence, you must also allow yourself to make mistakes without losing faith in your abilities. Mistakes are inevitable. They are part of learning. When you fear mistakes, you hold yourself back. But when you accept them as part of growth, you remain open to progress. Showing up for yourself means continuing to move forward even when the path feels unclear. It means giving yourself permission to learn at your own pace. Every mistake you learn from increases your wisdom. Every lesson strengthens your resilience. Confidence grows through experience, not perfection. Showing up for yourself daily also teaches you discipline. Discipline builds a stable identity because it is based on action, not emotion. When you follow through on your commitments consistently, you shape your character. You become someone who can be relied on, especially by yourself. Discipline strengthens confidence because it gives you a predictable sense of stability. It reminds you that you can trust your own actions. It becomes a foundation that supports every area of your life. Through daily commitment, supportive choices, and consistent effort, you begin to transform how you see yourself. You start recognizing your strength instead of your fears. You start noticing your progress instead of your doubts. You begin to feel grounded instead of uncertain. Confidence is not a feeling you wait for. Confidence is a result you build. It rises each time you show up for yourself in moments when you could have walked away. When you make yourself a priority, you create a steady sense of inner power that stays with you regardless of challenges. And when you continue showing up day after day, that power grows until confidence becomes your natural state. Chapter 7. Improve your life by setting clear personal boundaries. Improving your life through clear personal boundaries begins with understanding that your time, energy, and emotional space are limited resources that must be protected if you want to grow. Many people struggle not because they lack ability or potential, but because they have allowed too many demands, expectations, and obligations to take control of their lives. Without boundaries, you become overwhelmed by responsibilities that do not belong to you, drained by relationships that take more than they give, and distracted by situations that pull you away from your goals. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. It is the decision to honor your needs, protect your peace, and choose what you allow into your life with intention. When your boundaries are clear, your life becomes lighter, your mind becomes calmer, and your relationships become healthier. A boundary is not a wall. It is a limit that guides how you allow others to treat you and how you treat yourself. When your boundaries are unclear, you may feel guilty saying no, afraid to disappoint, or pressured to meet expectations that clash with your values. This creates emotional conflict because you begin living according to the needs of others rather than your own priorities. With time, this leads to resentment, exhaustion, and a weakened sense of identity. By setting clear boundaries, you reclaim control over your life. You define what is acceptable, what is harmful, and what is no longer allowed. This brings a sense of clarity that strengthens your decisions and supports your well-being. Setting boundaries begins with knowing your limits. Many people try to endure more than they can handle because they feel responsible for others' feelings, comfort, or approval. But pushing yourself past your emotional or physical capacity creates stress that slowly drains your inner strength. Honest reflection helps you recognize when you feel stretched too thin. Signs of crossed boundaries often show up as irritability, fatigue, frustration, or a quiet sense of being overwhelmed. When you notice these signs, you gain the awareness needed to create limits that protect your health and peace. Understanding your limits is not a weakness. It is an essential part of building a life that supports your long-term growth. Communication is another key part of establishing boundaries. Many people hint, hope, or silently wish others would understand their needs, but unspoken boundaries cannot protect you. Clear communication does not require confrontation. It requires honesty. When you express your needs calmly and directly, you give yourself permission to be heard. You no longer rely on guessing games or internal frustration. You take responsibility for your well-being by stating what you can accept and what you cannot. This level of clarity helps others understand how to interact with you respectfully. It also prevents misunderstandings that often arise when boundaries remain unspoken. Boundaries must also apply to your personal habits. It is not only other people who can cross your limits. Sometimes you cross your own boundaries through overworking, self-neglect, or ignoring your emotional needs. When you push yourself without rest, allow unhealthy routines to continue, or sacrifice your peace in order to keep up with external pressure, you weaken the foundation of your growth. Setting boundaries with yourself is just as important as setting them with others. You must learn to stop when your mind is overloaded, pull back when your emotions feel heavy, and step away from situations that disturb your balance. These internal boundaries teach you to respect your mental and emotional capacity. Another powerful aspect of boundaries is learning to say no without guilt. Many people accept requests out of fear of disappointing others or being seen as unkind. But every yes that goes against your well-being takes something away from your ability to focus on what truly matters. Saying no is an expression of clarity, not selfishness. It shows that you value your time and energy enough to use them wisely. When you say no to what drains you, you create space for what strengthens you. This shift improves your life because it frees you from obligations that do not align with your priorities. Boundaries also protect your emotional well-being. When you allow negativity, manipulation, or disrespect into your life, your self-esteem gradually suffers. People who constantly undermine your efforts, ignore your feelings, or take advantage of your kindness do not deserve unlimited access to your life. By setting firm boundaries with these individuals, you create emotional distance that protects your peace. You do not have to argue or prove anything. You simply decide what level of access they can have. This decision empowers you. It teaches you to value your emotional safety above the expectations of others. Improving your life through boundaries also means recognizing when a relationship is unbalanced. Healthy relationships involve mutual respect, effort, and understanding. When you consistently give more than you receive, you create an emotional imbalance that drains your strength. Setting boundaries in these situations helps restore balance. It encourages healthier communication, clearer expectations, and stronger connection. If the other person refuses to respect your boundaries, you gain valuable insight about the true nature of the relationship. Boundaries reveal who belongs in your life and who cannot support your growth. Boundaries are equally important in your environment. The places you spend your time can influence your mindset. A cluttered space, constant noise, or chaotic surroundings can interfere with your peace. Creating boundaries in your environment means designing spaces that support calmness and focus. Simple adjustments, such as dedicating a quiet area for reflection or organizing your surroundings, create a mental structure that reinforces your sense of control. Your environment should reflect your values, not overwhelm your senses. When you create boundaries in the spaces around you, you strengthen the clarity of your inner world. Another part of setting boundaries involves protecting your time. Time is one of your most valuable resources. When you allow others to control your schedule or interrupt your goals, you lose opportunities for growth. Setting boundaries with your time means establishing specific periods for rest, work, reflection, and personal development. It means choosing intentionally where your hours go, instead of letting them slip away through distraction or obligation. When you honor your schedule, you demonstrate to yourself that your goals matter. This increases your motivation and strengthens your sense of direction. Setting boundaries also improves your mindset because it removes unnecessary stress. When your life is filled with situations that drain you, your thoughts become heavy and scattered. Boundaries lighten this weight. They simplify your day by removing what does not belong. They help you maintain emotional stability because your mind is not constantly fighting against situations that overwhelm you. With fewer distractions and stresses, your thoughts become clearer, your decisions become wiser, and your emotional balance becomes stronger. One of the most valuable benefits of boundaries is the increase in self-respect. Each time you uphold a boundary, you send yourself the message that your well-being matters. You begin to recognize your worth, not through external validation, but through your own choices. This self-respect strengthens your confidence and encourages healthier behavior. You stop settling for situations that do not honor you. You begin choosing relationships, environments, and habits that support your growth. This shift transforms your life from the inside out. Boundaries also allow you to live more authentically. When you stop adjusting yourself to fit others' expectations, you make room for your true self to emerge. You learn to follow your values without fear of judgment. You choose actions that feel aligned instead of actions designed to please others. Authenticity brings freedom. It removes the pressure of pretending and allows you to build connections based on honesty. When you live according to your truth, your life becomes more peaceful and meaningful. Setting boundaries is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing practice. You refine your limits as you grow. You adjust them as your needs change. With each stage of your life, you learn more about what strengthens you and what weakens you. Boundaries evolve with your self-awareness. The more you understand yourself, the clearer your boundaries become. And the clearer your boundaries become, the more your life improves. Improving your life by setting clear personal boundaries is one of the most empowering choices you can make. It protects your energy, strengthens your identity, and creates space for meaningful growth. When you honor your limits, communicate your needs, and choose relationships and habits that respect your well-being, you transform the quality of your life. You gain confidence, clarity, and peace. You begin moving through the world with a grounded sense of purpose. Boundaries are not barriers. They are the framework that holds your life together, allowing you to grow into the strongest version of yourself. Chapter 8. Strengthen your purpose by focusing on what matters. Strengthening your purpose begins when you choose to focus on what truly matters instead of scattering your attention across distractions, temporary concerns, and obligations that do not support your growth. Many people struggle not because they lack ambition, but because their minds are filled with noise. They give their energy to tasks that do not move them forward, conversations that add no value, and habits that slowly pull them away from their deeper intentions. Purpose becomes weak when your attention is divided. Purpose becomes strong when your attention becomes deliberate. The moment you commit to focusing on what matters, you begin shaping a life built on clarity, meaning, and direction. To strengthen your purpose, you must first understand what genuinely holds importance for you. Many people follow paths that were shaped by expectations, pressure, or habit rather than by conscious choice. They chase goals that do not align with their values or desires. They spend years investing energy into things that bring little fulfillment. When you step back and ask yourself what truly matters, you begin separating your true priorities from things that merely seem urgent. This clarity is essential because it becomes the foundation on which every meaningful action rests. Your purpose grows stronger when it is built on honest self-awareness instead of external influence. Once you identify what matters, you must protect your attention. Modern life is filled with distractions that steal focus without offering anything meaningful in return. Constant stimulation from technology, social pressure, and emotional noise can easily pull you away from your deeper intentions. When your mind is scattered, your purpose weakens because your energy is divided. Strengthening your purpose means learning to direct your attention toward tasks, relationships, and choices that align with your values. It means choosing depth over distraction. It means valuing quality over quantity. Each moment of focused attention strengthens your sense of meaning. To focus on what matters, you also need to simplify your priorities. A cluttered life leads to a cluttered purpose. When you try to work on too many goals at once, you dilute your efforts and weaken your results. But when you focus on a few essential goals that align with your purpose, your progress becomes steady and meaningful. Simplifying your priorities does not mean limiting your potential. It means concentrating your energy where it will have the greatest impact. Purpose becomes stronger when your actions are aligned with a clear direction, instead of scattered across many unrelated pursuits. Another important part of strengthening your purpose is letting go of what no longer serves you. This involves releasing habits, commitments, and relationships that distract you from your deeper values. Many people hold on to old routines or outdated expectations because they fear change or discomfort. But holding on to what drains you weakens your purpose. When you release what no longer fits your path, you create space for growth. Letting go is a decision grounded in clarity. It reflects your understanding that your time and energy must be invested where they create meaning, not where they merely fill space. Showing commitment to your purpose requires discipline. Discipline is the bridge between intention and action. Without discipline, even the strongest purpose loses strength. Discipline helps you follow through on what matters, even when motivation fades. It guides you through challenges without allowing distractions to pull you away. Discipline is not about harshness, it is about consistency. When you show up for your purpose every day, even in small ways, you reinforce the belief that your direction is meaningful. This continuous effort strengthens your identity and deepens your sense of purpose. Focusing on what matters also means resisting the urge to compare your journey to others. Comparison dilutes your purpose by shifting your attention towards someone else's path instead of your own. Everyone has different challenges, capacities, and timelines. When you measure your progress by someone else's achievements, you create frustration and insecurity. This weakens your focus. Purpose grows when you stay connected to your own values and your own pace. When you stop comparing, you free your mind to invest fully in your path. This clarity strengthens your drive and makes your journey more fulfilling. Your purpose becomes stronger when you consistently reflect on your progress. Reflection helps you understand whether your actions align with what matters. It helps you adjust your approach when needed. It also helps you appreciate the growth you have already achieved. Purpose is not something you set once and forget. It evolves with you. Regular reflection helps you stay aligned with your deeper goals, ensuring that you continue moving forward with intention instead of drifting into old habits. Reflection provides direction. Direction strengthens purpose. Another aspect of strengthening your purpose is developing the courage to prioritize your values. Many people know what matters to them, but hesitate to live according to those values because of fear of judgment, misunderstanding, or failure. True purpose requires courage because it often leads you down paths that require inner strength. When you choose your values over comfort, you build a stronger identity. You begin living with integrity. Your decisions become more aligned with your truth. This alignment makes your purpose feel grounded and steady, even during difficult moments. You also strengthen your purpose when you surround yourself with supportive influences. The people you spend time with can either reinforce your direction or pull you away from it. If you surround yourself with individuals who value growth, discipline, and clarity, you naturally stay aligned with what matters. But if you are constantly around negativity, distraction, or drama, your focus weakens. Choosing your brain environment intentionally helps you stay focused on meaningful goals. It gives you encouragement during difficult moments and clarity during moments of doubt. Supportive relationships amplify your purpose. Focusing on what matters also requires patience. Purpose is not built overnight. It grows through dedication, consistency, and long-term effort. Many people abandon their purpose because they expect immediate results, but meaningful progress often happens slowly. Patience helps you stay committed even when progress feels invisible. It helps you trust your direction even when uncertainty appears. Purpose becomes stronger when you understand that growth takes time and that every step, no matter how small, contributes to your long-term vision. Your purpose also strengthens when you learn to say no to unnecessary responsibilities. Saying no is an act of prioritization. It ensures that your energy is directed toward what is meaningful rather than what is convenient or expected. When you say yes to everything, you dilute your power. When you say yes only to what aligns with your purpose, you sharpen your focus and preserve your energy. This selective approach brings clarity to your life and reinforces the importance of your deeper goals. Another way to strengthen your purpose is by embracing challenges instead of avoiding them. Every challenge teaches you something that smooth paths cannot. Challenges reveal your determination, sharpen your skills, and strengthen your resilience. When you face difficulties with intention, you deepen your understanding of why your purpose matters. Obstacles become reminders of your commitment, not reasons to give up. This approach strengthens your sense of direction and builds inner confidence. Your purpose gains clarity when you give yourself time to be still. Silence helps you reconnect with your values. When you step away from noise and distractions, your thoughts become clearer and your priorities surface naturally. Moments of stillness help you reset your focus and understand what truly deserves your attention. These quiet moments strengthen your purpose by returning you to your core intentions. Focusing on what matters also requires honesty with yourself. You must acknowledge when you drift, when you allow distractions to take over, or when you settle for less than you are capable of. Honesty is the gateway to improvement. When you correct your path quickly, you maintain the strength of your purpose. Honest self-awareness helps you stay aligned, avoid stagnation, and maintain a clear direction. When you live according to what matters, your life becomes more meaningful. You no longer waste energy on trivial conflicts, unimportant tasks, or empty pursuits. You begin to value your time. You begin to value your well-being. You begin to value your growth. This shift brings a deep sense of satisfaction because your actions reflect who you want to be. You move with intention instead of drifting without direction. Strengthening your purpose by focusing on what matters transforms every part of your life. You gain clarity in your decisions, stability in your emotions, and confidence in your path. You learn to invest your energy wisely. You grow in maturity, discipline, and understanding. Purpose becomes the anchor that guides your actions and shapes your identity. When you choose what matters daily, your life becomes more aligned, more meaningful, and more fulfilling. Chapter 9. Transform your actions by following small, consistent steps. Transforming your actions through small, consistent steps begins with understanding that real change does not come from dramatic efforts or sudden bursts of motivation. It comes from the steady, repeated choices you make every day. Many people underestimate the power of small actions because they seem insignificant in the moment, but these actions quietly shape your identity and redefine your direction. When you take small steps consistently, you build momentum that becomes difficult to break. You develop habits that support your growth and strengthen your confidence. You shift from wishing for improvement to creating improvement through deliberate effort. This gradual approach allows you to transform your life from the inside out without overwhelming yourself or losing focus. Small steps are powerful because they are realistic. They do not demand perfection or immediate mastery. They only require intention and consistency. When you set small goals, you remove the pressure that often stops people from taking action. You make progress achievable instead of intimidating. This approach helps you build trust in yourself because you complete tasks instead of abandoning them. Each small step becomes evidence that you are capable of change. Over time, this evidence becomes confidence, and confidence becomes fuel for even greater progress. Small actions create a stable foundation for long-term transformation because they are easier to maintain, harder to resist, and more sustainable than sudden extreme efforts. Following small, consistent steps also helps you avoid the trap of all-or-nothing thinking. Many people give up because they expect huge results too quickly. When progress doesn't appear instantly, they lose motivation and return to old habits. But transformation does not need massive leaps. It needs small movements repeated often. When you choose a tiny step forward every day, you avoid burnout and frustration. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you feel steady. Instead of doubting yourself, you feel capable. You learn to value the process just as much as the results. This mindset shift removes unnecessary pressure and allows growth to unfold naturally. Consistency matters more than intensity because consistency builds identity. When you repeatedly take action, even in small amounts, you begin to see yourself differently. You no longer tell yourself you are someone who quits or avoids responsibility. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who improves steadily, and someone who directs their own life. Identity change is one of the most powerful forms of transformation. When you act consistently, your actions reshape your self-image. And once your identity shifts, your behavior naturally aligns with that new identity. Small steps repeated daily build this identity far more effectively than large efforts performed occasionally. Another benefit of small, consistent steps is that they allow you to break old habits without creating emotional resistance. When you try to change too much at once, your mind pushes back because it feels overwhelmed. But small steps slip past this resistance. They feel manageable, so your mind does not fight them. Each tiny step rewires your behavior gently and steadily. This allows you to replace old habits with new ones without creating unnecessary stress. You begin to make healthier choices almost effortlessly because they become part of your routine. This slow and steady approach ensures that your changes last. Transforming your actions through small steps also teaches you discipline. Discipline is not about harsh rules. It is about showing up consistently even when you feel unmotivated. When you commit to small actions, you learn how to rely on your decisions rather than your emotions. You begin to understand that progress does not require perfect conditions. It requires commitment. This understanding strengthens your resilience because you realize you can continue moving forward even during difficult moments. Discipline becomes easier to build when the required actions are small. Over time, the discipline you develop through small steps becomes strong enough to support bigger goals. Another way small steps transform your actions is by increasing your awareness. When you focus on consistent daily behavior, you become more conscious of how you use your time and energy. You begin noticing patterns that either support or weaken your progress. You understand your triggers, your strengths, and your limitations. This awareness helps you adjust your approach without judging yourself. Instead of feeling frustrated when something doesn't work, you simply refine your next step. This self-awareness strengthens your ability to make decisions that align with your values and long-term goals. Following small, consistent steps also helps you maintain emotional balance. Large goals often create stress because they seem distant or overwhelming. Small steps reduce anxiety because they focus on what you can control right now. When your mind focuses on the present instead of worrying about the future, your stress decreases. You feel more grounded. You feel more prepared. This emotional stability supports steady progress because it prevents discouragement from taking over. You learn to stay calm while working toward your goals, which makes it easier to stay consistent. Another important part of transforming your actions is celebrating small wins. Many people wait for major achievements before acknowledging progress, but this approach weakens motivation. When you celebrate small wins, you reinforce positive behavior. Your mind becomes more engaged and committed. You build a sense of satisfaction that keeps you moving forward. Small wins remind you that growth is happening every day, even if it feels slow. This recognition fuels your determination and strengthens your belief in your ability to reach larger goals. Every completed step becomes a reminder that effort matters. Transforming your actions through small, consistent steps also helps you avoid burnout. Big changes often lead to exhaustion because they require more energy than you can sustain. But small steps keep your energy steady. They fit naturally into your life without overwhelming your schedule. You can continue them even during busy or stressful periods. This sustainability is essential because it ensures that progress continues regardless of circumstances. When your actions are manageable, you stay committed. Burnout becomes less likely because you never push yourself beyond your limits all at once. Another powerful aspect of small steps is that they teach you patience. Patience is necessary for meaningful growth because transformation takes time. When you practice patience, you remain steady even when results are not immediate. You learn to trust the process rather than rush it. This mindset removes frustration and helps you stay consistent. Patience fuels long-term success because it allows you to keep moving forward even when the path feels slow. Small steps naturally develop patience because they focus on gradual improvement rather than instant results. Small steps also help you adapt to change more easily. Life is unpredictable, and large, rigid plans often collapse under unexpected challenges. But small actions are flexible. When life changes, you can adjust your small steps without abandoning your entire goal. This adaptability keeps you steady during disruptions. You maintain momentum because your routine is not easily broken. Small steps make your progress resilient, allowing you to continue growing even when circumstances shift. Transforming your actions also requires prioritizing what matters most. Small steps help you apply your energy wisely. Instead of trying to do everything at once, you choose the actions that create the most meaningful impact. This focused effort brings clarity and direction to your life. You begin seeing which habits help you grow and which ones slow you down. Prioritization strengthens your ability to make decisions that support your long-term vision. When you focus on essential steps, your progress becomes faster and more purposeful. Another way small, consistent steps create transformation is through repetition. Repetition builds mastery. When you repeat an action daily, it becomes easier, smoother, and more natural. This shift from effort to habit is where transformation becomes permanent. Your mind no longer struggles to begin because the behavior becomes automatic. Consistent repetition removes unnecessary mental resistance and frees your energy for new challenges. This process allows you to build a strong foundation for continued growth. Small steps also strengthen your confidence because each completed action becomes proof of your capability. When you consistently follow through, you begin seeing yourself as someone who can commit and succeed. This self-belief is essential for long-term transformation. Confidence comes from experience, not intention. The more you act, the more capable you feel. This confidence encourages you to take on larger goals with courage and clarity. Transforming your actions through small, consistent steps is one of the most effective ways to create lasting change because it focuses on progress, not perfection. It builds discipline without pressure, confidence without comparison, and momentum without burnout. Each step you take brings you closer to the person you want to become. Over time, these small actions reshape your habits, strengthen your mindset, and redefine your direction. The transformation may feel gradual, but it is powerful. Every small step contributes to a larger vision, and when you show up consistently, that vision becomes reality. Chapter 10. Shape your future by staying loyal to your progress. Shaping your future by staying loyal to your progress begins with understanding that every change you have made, no matter how small, holds value. Many people underestimate their progress because they focus only on what remains undone rather than what they have already achieved. This mindset discourages growth and makes it easy to slip back into old patterns. Staying loyal to your progress means recognizing that each effort you make deserves respect. It means valuing the work you have already done instead of ignoring it. When you honor your progress, you strengthen the foundation that supports your future. You stop tearing yourself down, and you start building a future grounded in commitment, awareness, and intention. Staying loyal to your progress requires that you resist the temptation to reset your journey every time you face a setback. Many people restart repeatedly because they see mistakes as evidence that they are failing. But setbacks are part of the process. They reveal areas that need attention, not reasons to abandon everything you have worked for. When you choose to continue from where you stand instead of starting over, you protect your progress. You show yourself that slipping does not equal failure. You prove that growth is not erased by one difficult moment. This loyalty strengthens your resilience because it teaches you to keep going, even when circumstances challenge your consistency. Another part of staying loyal to your progress is recognizing that growth is rarely linear. There will be days when you move forward with ease and days when everything feels heavier. Both days matter. Both days count. When you accept that progress fluctuates, you free yourself from unrealistic expectations. You learn to appreciate steady movement rather than expecting perfection. This mindset shift helps you stay committed during difficult moments because you understand that slow progress is still progress. Consistency becomes easier when you stop demanding constant breakthroughs and start appreciating everyday effort. Shaping your future also depends on the promises you keep to yourself. When you honor your commitments, even small ones, you strengthen your inner trust. This trust becomes the foundation of your self-confidence. The more you follow through, the more you believe in your ability to create change. Staying loyal to your progress means following through on what you say you will do, even when no one is watching. It means showing respect for your own goals, your own growth, and your own future. Each promise kept builds a stronger, more dependable version of yourself. This identity shapes the direction of your life because you begin to act from a place of stability rather than doubt. A major part of staying loyal to your progress involves managing the moments when you feel discouraged. Motivation will fade, challenges will appear, and doubt will show up uninvited. But your loyalty to your progress is what keeps you grounded. When discouragement arises, you must remind yourself why you started, what you have already overcome, and how far you have come. This kind of reflection strengthens your determination. It helps you continue even when your emotions are not fully supportive. Loyalty means choosing long-term growth over temporary frustration. Each time you choose progress over discouragement, you shape a stronger future. Your future also depends on your ability to maintain perspective. Many people magnify setbacks and minimize achievements. They focus deeply on what went wrong while barely acknowledging what went right. This imbalance weakens confidence and disrupts progress. To stay loyal to your growth, you must recognize your victories, no matter how small. Acknowledging your effort encourages you to continue. It reinforces the belief that your work is meaningful. This balanced perspective shapes your mindset by reminding you that growth is built through countless small improvements rather than sudden transformations. Staying loyal to your progress also means avoiding the trap of comparison. When you measure yourself against others, you disconnect from your own path. You begin chasing goals that do not belong to you and ignoring the accomplishments you should appreciate. Comparison creates frustration, insecurity, and impatience. It steals focus from your future and redirects it towards someone else's journey. Loyalty to your progress means consistently choosing your own pace and your own direction. You strengthen your future when you embrace your unique path, rather than measuring it against someone else's timeline. Another important part of shaping your future is protecting the habits that support your growth. Your habits are the quiet structure behind every achievement. When you stay consistent with routines that strengthen your mind, body, and spirit, you create momentum that carries you forward. Many people abandon good habits when life becomes stressful, not realizing that these habits are the very tools that help them stay strong during difficult times. Staying loyal to your progress means maintaining your habits even when pressure rises. It means valuing the routines that keep you disciplined, balanced, and focused. These habits shape your future because they build the foundation of the person you are becoming. Your future is also shaped by the standards you set for yourself. When you expect more from your life, you begin acting in ways that align with those expectations. Setting higher standards does not mean overloading yourself with pressure. It means refusing to settle for behavior that weakens your progress. It means choosing actions that reflect your values. When you hold yourself to a consistent standard, you shape a future filled with discipline and purpose. This loyalty to your standards strengthens your sense of identity and guides your decisions with clarity. Staying loyal to your progress also requires patience. Growth takes time, and rushing the process creates frustration. When you allow your progress to unfold naturally, you avoid burnout and maintain emotional balance. Patience teaches you to trust your path even when results are not immediate. It helps you appreciate the process rather than focusing only on the outcome. This mindset ensures that you continue moving forward with calmness and confidence rather than anxiety and doubt. Patience deepens your loyalty because it helps you stay steady regardless of pace. Another key part of loyalty is avoiding negative self-talk that diminishes your progress. When you tell yourself that your growth is not enough, you weaken your motivation. When you speak harshly to yourself, you undermine your effort. To shape a stronger future, you must replace self-criticism with honesty and encouragement. You acknowledge areas that need improvement while recognizing the effort you have already shown. This balanced internal dialogue supports your progress instead of tearing it down. It strengthens your emotional resilience and helps you stay committed to long-term growth. Staying loyal to your progress also means adjusting your approach when necessary. Progress does not always require pushing harder. Sometimes it requires changing direction. When something is no longer working, loyalty is not about forcing it. It is about adapting while protecting your overall momentum. This flexibility prevents stagnation and keeps you aligned with your long-term purpose. Adaptation is a sign of strength, not defeat. It shows that you are committed to your future, not to a single method. Your loyalty also grows stronger when you surround yourself with supportive influences. People who encourage your progress make it easier to stay committed. Environments that align with your values help you stay focused. When you intentionally choose influences that nurture your growth, you protect your future from unnecessary distractions and negativity. This support strengthens your commitment because it reinforces the importance of your journey. Another powerful way to stay loyal to your progress is by reviewing your goals regularly. Goals evolve as you evolve. When you take time to reflect on what matters now, you keep your direction aligned with your current values. This reflection prevents you from drifting or pursuing goals that no longer serve you. A future shaped through intentional alignment becomes stronger because it reflects who you truly are and who you want to become. Shaping your future also involves recognizing that your progress is part of your identity. Every small effort, every consistent choice, and every moment of discipline becomes part of who you are. When you stay loyal to your progress, you build an identity rooted in strength, responsibility, and growth. This identity shapes your decisions, influences your behavior, and guides your future. You no longer rely on motivation alone. You rely on a deeper sense of who you are becoming. Your future is shaped through commitment, clarity, and continued effort. Staying loyal to your progress means choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. It means protecting the steps you have already taken and continuing forward even when the path feels uncertain. When you honor your effort, maintain your discipline, and stay connected to your values, your future begins to expand. You build a life grounded in purpose, stability, and self-respect. Remaining loyal to your progress ensures that your future is shaped by intention rather than circumstance. Over time, this loyalty becomes your strength, and your strength becomes the foundation of a future that reflects your deepest potential.